Hello, everyone. Welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World, brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect vacation. Please be sure to visit them on the web at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com and as well as disboards.com, a great resource to help you plan the perfect Disney vacation and a great place to continue the best and worst discussion after the show. But you're going to listen and watch the show right now. And in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the best things about Animal Kingdom, brought to us by Disboards. So was everyone out on the Disboards? These are the 4 top things that you said you loved about Animal Kingdom. To join me for this discussion, we've got Mr. Corey Fiasco.
Hey, guys.
Again, whose name I will never say. Someday I'm going to call you by your last name, but I just like Corey Fiasco. And then in the back, we've got Mr. Craig Williams, the man that makes it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought you were going to say ahoy.
Not feeling it today.
Oh, no. Like I said, we're going to dive right in here. The top 4 things about Animal Kingdom. It seemed a pretty overwhelming consensus on this one. Usually, like, we have to weed through some answers and find some stuff, but almost everybody who made a post in this thread on Disboards said pretty much the same thing. So for number 4, the trails.
Yeah, I actually really like the trails a lot. I think we were just talking, sometimes they get closed down. And for one reason or another, because, obviously it's part of conservation and there's live animals in there. And sometimes, like we just had a new baby giraffe that was born. And because the new baby giraffe was born, they couldn't have crowds introduced to them right away. So things get closed down for good reasons. But when they get closed down, you can really feel it. But and the other aspects of the park getting more crowded. But personally, the trails happen to be one of my favorite areas of Animal Kingdom, because when I think of Animal Kingdom, obviously think of animals, and I go there a lot of times to go see animals.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm a huge fan of the trails.
Well, what's interesting about the trails too, so there's Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, there's Discovery Island Trails, and the Maharaja Jungle Trek. But what's interesting about those trails is you can see animals that you're not seeing on the safari. And I think people think about, when you go to Animal Kingdom, you think, okay, well, we're doing the Harambe, not the Harambe. What is the safari's full name? Kilimanjaro safaris. You think about that, that exploration. You see a lot of exotic animals at that point, but I always forget, like, there's a chance you could also see a tiger. I don't think that I ever have, though. Have you guys ever been lucky enough to spot a tiger on that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I have bad timing. I just always assume so.
That's part of the only issue about the trails is the timing on it. But, it might be an unpopular opinion. I'm a fan of zoos. I like visiting zoos in different cities. That's, yes, in an ideal world, these animals wouldn't have to live in captivity and cages and all of that. But at the same time, too, I'm fascinated with them. And people, a lot of them, the ones that are endangered, are going to be brutally killed out in the wild if they aren't being protected in some way. And so I like the fact that there are zoos out there that are protecting these animals and trying, some of them doing a better job than others of giving them a place to live. But ultimately, it's like the cool part about the trails is that this is the closest thing you're going to get to like actually being in a regular zoo. They're not always as highly themed as the trails are at Animal Kingdom. So that's where you get the Disney difference in terms of it. But it's that experience where on the safaris, sometimes you're like, I wish we would have just slowed down a little bit longer to look at that animal, but we sped away. The trails are a nice time to get when the animals are out there. You get that extra time where you just get to watch them. Like, who doesn't like watching the gorillas and the monkeys and some of their areas and stuff? It's like I can sit there sometimes for 30 minutes and just let the day go by and but also be in a clearly Disney theme park that's better than just your average city zoo. So
yeah, and I think another really cool thing, like you mentioned with the zoos, something you can do at Animal Kingdom, especially as a local. I mean, you could do this as somebody on vacation too, but if you kind of go to Animal Kingdom and just kind of get it out of your head that you're in a theme park and get out of the hustle and bustle mentality of doing as much as you can do in a day at a theme park and just kind of like have a zoo day at Animal Kingdom, that could be really fulfilling and a lot of fun too. Just do the trails. I know it's closed right now, but like when you could do Rafiki's Planet Watch, that was another big part of it. But that's closed now, obviously, but you could do something like that and just kind of, mosey along the trails, have a really nice, relaxing day, just kind of joining up with animals and seeing what they get into.
Well, that's another thing, actually, a good segue into the number 3 top thing that people liked about Animal Kingdom, and that was the ambiance and the atmosphere. And they said a big part of that was that Animal Kingdom has very unique foliage, specific to like different areas, and it's a very. When I moved here, everyone always would say, well, Animal Kingdom's 10 degrees hotter than any other park. And I honestly have never really found that to be true for me personally, because it's so shaded everywhere. Because I get that there is a canopy effect that could make it feel hotter, but I'm not in the direct sunlight. But I think about the trails, just not even just the trails, like the ones that are labeled trails, but like the walk in from once you're through the turnstiles, there's the areas that you can go up to the left or up to the right, and then some little areas where you can kind of weave through. But you can see like the parrots that are in there. There's an anteater that's over there. You can kind of see every now and then there'll be that divine will be creeping along somewhere over there, which is this vine plant stilt thing that scares me a little bit, but people seem to love her. But there's that. People also seem to love the background music. Really adds itself to like kind of that environment and puts you in this certain like mood. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna butt in on this one here. In terms of the heat factor, I think that comes less from like direct sunlight and with what you said in the canopy effect. I feel like when I'm there, it's not direct heat that feels more abrasive. It's more humidity. It feels like the trees are just producing or trapping in humidity. So I know it's a hot day at Animal Kingdom when I haven't even made it through the first winding maze, getting up to where you see the Tree of Life in front of you. Like if I'm sweating by the time I'm through there, I know that's going to be a hot day. There's very rare times where I walk through the graveyard at Epcot and make it past Spaceship Earth and like I'm already breaking a sweat, but it always happens at Animal Kingdom because of that
graveyard?
Extra. Yeah, the tombstones.
Oh, okay. I was like, did I miss something?
Not an elephant graveyard, just a facial graveyard. But beyond that, I think the true beauty and ambiance in Animal Kingdom lies in the fact that it is the closest to actual nature. There is nothing against the other Disney parks in that they get their ambiance and beauty from a lot of the architecture that's around, but Animal Kingdom's about nature, and I'm a nature person. I like being outside as much as possible. Not in Florida because we have water moccasins and alligators and everything that's trying to kill me. But if I'm back up north, my families are traveling anywhere else out west. I love being in nature, and to me, Animal Kingdom's the one that says, you know what, we're gonna have this amazing architecture around in the form of the Tree of Life and the unique, authentic stylings of the buildings in Africa and Asia, even the man-made mountains, floating mountains and such in Pandora. But at the heart of it all, there is this kinetic energy that's moving through all of the foliage and the plant life and the nature that's there. So it's definitely special for that reason.
No, yeah, I completely agree with you. I there's just something about like you said, the architecture, not just the Tree of Life, but the buildings. And I think about that one bridge as you're going into Africa, where you can kind of look and you can look down to where like Festival of the Lion King is and where the other entryway into Pandora is. That's not the main entryway. And I just think like, this is a photo like right here that I'm living in. And then you can turn and look the other way and you've got Everest over there with Asia and you're like, that's another photo I'm living in. And there's a lot of the parks can be picturesque, but this one really feels like I am somewhere else, and I think that kind of takes you out of that real world thing, and I think that lends itself into that ambiance a lot for sure.
And I think with the addition of Pandora too, that's like a completely different immersive land. And they did such a good job with that. And like the waterfalls there, like you said, the floating mountains, and especially at night, it's just such
that was a big one in the boards that people really enjoyed at night, that it brings on a whole new life at night, and that's definitely true in Pandora. It becomes, all neon and everything. And the Tree of Life has its, what's that?
The sounds.
The sounds, the
smells.
So going back to ASMR.
Yeah. Yeah, do me some Pandora ASMR.
Ah,
That was a big no way. Well, moving into that as well, attractions. That was the number 2 thing that it seemed like everybody kind of was raving about in the threads here, is that it has some of their favorite attractions. To name ones that were specifically named in here, the Festival of the Lion King. We talked about it already. The Safari, Flight of Passage is pretty popular. Nemo comes up a lot too. It's a Broadway caliber show that's just in Animal Kingdom. No other park has a show like that.
It just over time, it has morphed into a place that, while never, when it first opened, it had exciting attractions, but it's morphed into a place where it has the best of the best in terms of the attractions. So, we have Star Tours and Motion Simulator. There's plenty of motion simulators out there, but Flight of Passage, many are going to say that is the best motion simulator that you can get at Walt Disney World. So you got the best right there. Even Expedition Everest in its sad mode is still probably the best roller coaster on Walt Disney World property all around.
Did you say sad mode?
Yeah, the Yeti. Just staying out.
I had never seen the video of what it was like when he moves. I didn't realize, I thought moves was like this.
Yeah.
I did not realize how much motion and there's a video you can look up somewhere of that before he was placed in the mountain, him moving in the facility, and I was blown away.
And then going off that with the shows, you have Festival of the Lion King and Finding Nemo, which are arguably both the best shows that you have at any of the parks on property. So you have a lot of these that make up, and then throw in something like Dinosaur in the mix, throw in Kilimanjaro safaris that, it's kind of in a league of its own, but it's still awesome. You start adding it all up, and it has a lot of marquee attractions, and it's
Does it bug
awesome.
you when people say it's a half-day park?
No, because what is a half-day park to them might not be a half-day park to me. I'm the only person out there right now that I know that's saying, yeah, Hollywood Studios is a full-day park. Just because you don't want to do everything it offers doesn't mean it's not a full-day park. That's so anyone can say whatever they want. Like I said, I can spend 4 hours just walking the nature trails and really hanging out and spending time in there and seeing all of the animals. Other people will walk through and they'll be in and out in 15 minutes. So.
Yeah. It's just sometimes I think when people say that, I'm like, really? I don't think you're experiencing all the park has to offer, really taking in the theming of this park then, to really appreciate it if you're saying it's a half-day park. Because I'm like, I can get there at 9 a.m. and be like, all right, well, maybe around 6 or 7, I'd be like, I'm done. But then you're like, there's a nighttime show, and you got to see all the stuff come on, and then there's all these things, you got to do later. So I never really have gotten that. But the number one thing, which I was actually a little surprised about in the thread that it seems like everybody was kind of agreeing on, was the food. People really seem to like the food at Animal Kingdom. So I really kind of sat and thought about this. Some places in particular that were named, which I do agree with, the Nomad Lounge was one. That's definitely a place that I enjoy. The prices are getting a little ridiculous there, but I like it because it's never overwhelmingly busy, and even when it is busy, it still feels like it's a place that a release from the park where I can just go and relax. They've mentioned Dawa Bar, Harambe Market, Tusker House for sure. I definitely agree with that. I think the food there was great. But what do you guys think about the food at Animal Kingdom?
I think that next to Epcot being the best, Animal Kingdom has the best quick service. So the second best park for quick service. You got Harambe Market, absolutely amazing as far as quick service goes. Satuli Canteen is awesome. Love Satuli Canteen. Even I know this is like a kind of a mixed opinion, but I like Yak and Yeti a lot, both the sit down and the quick service. You got that there. You have so many quick service options that I think are a lot better than the choices that you're going to get at Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, I would say Satuli Canteen is easily one of my like favorite quick service options because of the customizability, but also the idea that it's a little bit more, oh, I can add, it's vegetables, it's all this. It just always feels, I'm never really disappointed when I eat there, and then, honestly, that actually pulls me there every time I go there. So I have not been experiencing the other places as much, but I find that Animal Kingdom is also easier to find food that people who have dietary restrictions, at least now the other parks are coming around to it, but I feel like they've always kind of been dietary sensitive, like whether it's gluten or vegan options and stuff like that. And I love those little booths or kiosks they have everywhere around that kind of the menu seems to be changing pretty quickly all the time on these, but they always offer different and unique options. Like one I think right now is like different types of mac and cheese, but it's never open when I'm there. But then there's another one that had like falafel bites and stuff like that. So I feel like it's nice, diverse options. But
yeah, there's no like. In my mind, I like a lot of not in my mind, in my belly. I like a lot of the flavors that they offer at Animal Kingdom. So like when Corey says next to Epcot, I would actually put Animal Kingdom first. There's nothing wrong with the stuff that is offered at Epcot. I enjoy a lot of it. We've talked about it on length, but like there is no place at Epcot that I would choose over Satuli Canteen. I would choose Yak and Yeti if I wanted the quick service in particular. I would choose that over going to Nine Dragons or the quick service in China. I don't really care for the barbecue anymore that they have there at
Flame Tree.
Flame Tree Barbecue. Yeah. Thank you. At Flame Tree Barbecue, but for people who like when I lived in Pennsylvania and we didn't have good barbecue around, we would come down here and that was good barbecue to me. And now I have plenty of other places around that are much better. So I don't do it, but I understand people who do love it, why they love it. Because if you're in an area that doesn't make good barbecue, it's better than average. Harambe Market, I have never had a single bad piece of food from there. And again, it's different flavors from what you'll find at Epcot. But like, if you're going to ask me, would I rather have another bratwurst at Germany that is clearly like something that they probably bought from Publix and just threw it all together there, versus having something that just it feels authentic to the park over at Harambe Market and Animal Kingdom? I'm going to choose that. And that's just with quick service. Tiffin's is awesome. Like you said, Nomad Lounge, throwing prices out. These places are good. If you're just talking about the quality of the food, there's no place that I wouldn't really eat at, except maybe Pizza Fari. And
well, Restaurantosaurus, I don't really.
No. I actually think of Restaurantosaurus as like the basic, because it used to be the McDonald's back in the day. But like what I like is you get the toppings bar. So like you can get a little, how you can get your pickles.
I hate that toppings bar. It's always, I don't know. I've eaten at restaurants.
It's not Pecos Bill toppings bar, okay?
Yeah.
Let's be clear about that. Yeah.
But I just like, I don't know, like when I was there recently, the past 2 times, it's just like every time, and this isn't the cast members' fault, and this isn't like Disney's fault really, but every single time I looked over at that toppings bar, it was just an absolute disaster. And I don't know. I think this happens at a lot of quick service places that have self-service topping bars. And like I know it's Disney and it's theme parks and there's going to be kids there making their burgers, but it gets
I'm just imagining a child reaching in with their hands or sneezing into it right now, and it's creeping me out a little bit.
I don't want anything to do with self-service topping bars.
Yeah. See, I am like my value has increased, but I try not to think about anybody that sneezed on it when I do it. You got to go underneath. You got to dig underneath, but you got to dig a little deeper. I actually, the Restaurantosaurus, the lounge that's over there, I did a review of that you can see on youtube.com/unplugged with my friend, and I was actually surprised. Can you?
If you are a Patreon supporter.
Okay, I didn't remember if I made it exclusive or not. Sorry. If you're a Patreon supporter, you can check that out at patreon.com/unplug. But I did do, so I went over there and I wasn't, it's literally like they just kind of took the back part of the restaurant that had the extra seating and put a bar in there or whatever. But it was surprisingly like there were like 4 or 5 different themed drinks, and not just alcohol. There was like 2 or 3 non-alcoholic themed drinks there too that I enjoyed. And it was a nice place to step off. And I thought like, oh, this is just a cheap money grab. But the drinks were actually the lowest price drinks I'd seen in the park. Like the margarita was like, I think like $10, but they were strong because they're not pre-made. The person's making them right there, and they took Tables in Wonderland and discounts and stuff like that. So it was nice too. So I will give Animal Kingdom that as well. But cool, awesome. Well, that is the top 4 things that the Disboards posters have decided were the best things about Animal Kingdom. That was food at number 1, attractions at number 2, ambiance and atmosphere at number 3, and trails at number 4. We want to hear what you like about Animal Kingdom. You can leave those comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. But that will do it for this episode of the best and worst of Walt Disney World. Thank you guys for having this conversation. Thank you everyone out there for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time with another episode.